Welcome back to Real Roots Radio. I am so excited to have Stuie and Camille French from the French Family Band joining us on the air today. How are you guys doing?
Hi.
Hi, yeah, we're going great.
Yeah, we're
Real
good.
good.
Thank you.
Awesome. It's so exciting to have you guys back in the Buckeye State. You guys are going to be performing Saturday, May the 24th in Mechanicsburg, Ohio at Hemisphere Coffee Roasters. And Paul and Grace Kurtz are so sweet and so kind. They have great coffee. They have great taste in music as well, bringing the French Family Band to Mechanicsburg. How did you guys first meet the team at Hemisphere Coffee Roasters?
We were playing, I think, at the Ohio Valley Opry,
Yeah.
at McConnellsville, and
Yeah.
Paul approached us, just said how much he loves what we do, and in fact wanted to help us in some way, shape, or form. And we had that brief conversation, and then I don't think much happened then. But a year later, again he came and he said the same thing. But we organised a meeting, and before you knew it, they had started making this our own
Yeah.
coffee blend for us, and they've just been huge supporters. And it's amazing the coffee that they make, and we sell is one of our biggest sellers, and it's just not something you would sell in Australia for a band selling coffee. It's just not really the done thing, and here it's one of our biggest sellers. So we love Hemisphere Coffee, and Paul and Grace.
Yeah, great people.
They're great.
I have to say, I love all Hemisphere coffee, but we had some 1945 French Family Blend coffee at the house. This was a few months ago. My father-in-law was up from Tennessee, and I wasn't even thinking of it. I made a pot, and he's like, "This coffee is amazing. Like, what is this?" I'm like, "Well, it's Hemisphere, but it's the special blend." I brought out the special can and showed him and was telling him all about the song. So it's
Wow.
great. So,
There you go.
hey, having your own blend of coffee is probably something you never imagined when you left Australia to come to Music City 4 or 5 years ago, would it? Was it?
It wasn't really, but
No.
back in Australia, we're coffee snobs. We used to love going out and having a flat white or a latte every day, and
Yeah.
and so it quite suits us. Yeah,
Yeah, it is. It's a
we
good
love a good
match.
coffee.
And of course, appropriate too, because the 1945 blend coffee, named after your guys' great story song, 1945. So if you enjoyed coffee in Australia, you got the song that kind of connects Australia to Music City, and then you got the 1945 blend coffee that just kind of ties it all together, doesn't
Oh,
it?
I
Yeah,
know.
it
It's
does.
meant to be, isn't
Yeah,
it?
yeah.
For folks that are not familiar with the story behind your song 1945, why don't you share what that song is all about and why it's so personal to your guys' family history?
Sure.
Well, back when I was probably about 10 years old, I was going through an old bookshelf out in the garage, and I found this old program, and I didn't really know much about the Grand Ole Opry or anything, but my dad walked past and said, "Dad, what's this?" And he'd sort of forgotten about it, but it was, he said, well, in 1945, when he's only a kid living on a farm, he came in one day and put the radio on to try and hear the local hillbilly radio station, because he loved hillbilly music, he called it. And he picked up the Grand Ole Opry really quick and really clear, and he couldn't believe it. He'd heard about the Grand Ole Opry. Anyway, it was just by chance that night. The reception was incredible, and he went in a competition they were holding for the furthest listener, and he wrote in. Sure enough, he won it, and that's how he got that signed program, right? And so, I don't know, 50 years later, I stood on the stage of the Ryman to watch a Merle Haggard show. I was on side of stage, and I rang Dad next day. I said, I stood on the Ryman where you got that radio show. It was nearly 50 years to the day, to the month anyway. It was 1995. So, and then how much the years later? Like in 2023, well, we wrote a song about it, and we got to play it on the Grand Ole Opry, that song.
Yeah.
And my dad obviously wasn't able to be there. He passed away 10 years ago. So, I don't know, the story went full circle. It was crazy.
That's amazing. It's an amazing journey that you guys have had musically, but how bizarre that it started. That your guys' trip to the Opry started a generation earlier in 1945 with picking up WSM in the land down under
Yeah.
on just a fluke night, and that he happened to catch it. And you guys said historically there is a little bit of basis as to why he was able to pick up the Opry that night, isn't there?
Yeah, well, my dad told me then when I was 10, he said, "Oh, that was right when they tested the first atom bomb in New Mexico, or wherever they tested it, and he said he heard stories that was the reason that night, while people were picking up all sorts of things from all around the world, and he happened to get the Grand Ole Opry, So
Of all things.
of all things,
Of all things, the good Lord was looking out for him that night to make sure he got to hear Bill Monroe and Roy Acuff, right?
yeah,
That's right.
that's right.
We're chatting with Camille and Stuie French of the French Family Band. Your family traveled here to Music City, USA. What, about 5 years ago now?
You know, we'll be celebrating our 6th anniversary next month. We arrived around June 18th, I think. It's hard to believe it's been 6 years. I mean, we said to our children, let's go for 1 year. We'll go on a big adventure, and we can always go home. We still have our house back in Sydney, Australia, and so everybody was up for the adventure. And I don't know, time's just flowing. Obviously, we love it here. We've become citizens.
Yeah,
Congratulations.
Yeah,
Thank you.
so we're very happy.
Yeah, it's fun.
Hey, come for a 1 year adventure, and then here you are playing with Jimmy Fortune and Brothers of the Heart, and then you got everybody in Nashville coming out to the French Connection shows at Third and Lindsley. I mean, what an adventure the last 6 years must have been for you guys.
It has. It's been incredible. If I was to write it all down, I would never have believed it. Like we told the kids, 6 months to a year. If it doesn't work out, we'll go home. And obviously we couldn't because the country locked down. But it worked out. Couldn't have worked out better for us. So.
Yeah, and even just our friendship groups here. I imagine that making friends would be really difficult at this stage of my life. It was something I was kind of really anxious and nervous about coming from a different country. But the friends that we've made are friends for life. Jimmy and Nina and the Isaacs and Mike Rogers. They're all like family to us now, and I don't know what we'd do without them. Yeah.
I mean, your faith community and your country music community, that's a whole other family, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah, it's just been so wonderful. And also getting the children involved in sports. Sonny's not here; he's busy with his high school soccer team. Just all of the people we've met through school and sports as well. It's been brilliant.
Now, you mentioned he's not just a soccer player. He's a very good soccer player, and he's at his senior year, wrapping up a wonderful soccer career in the Nashville area in high school. Did he play soccer back home in Australia, or is that something he really kind of got passionate about here in the States?
Well, he did, but he didn't trial for like the rep or travel ball teams over there because we were traveling a lot and it just didn't suit our lifestyle. So one of the things we said to our kids was, when we move to Nashville, you can trial out for the local travel teams. And so they all did. Both our boys played travel ball at quite a high level, and our daughter Mania plays travel volleyball.
Wow.
And I don't know, just the level here, and our kids rise to the challenge, don't they? They love competitive sport, and
it's exciting here. Like they really get behind it and make it it's like a grand final every time they play. It's really cool,
Sonny actually won the most valuable player, of our entire region, 2 years in a row. He just got it for the second time last week. So. Yeah, he really loves it. He's always very committed to whatever he does. Just before we moved over here, he was really into athletics and long jump and all that kind of thing. And just before he left, he came 9th in Australia for long jump for high school kids. That's what I mean. Whatever he gets into and commits to, look out.
I'd like to be good at one thing, but here he is, most valuable soccer player, plays the guitar like Roy Nichols. Sometimes life's just not fair, right? To be that good at two things.
I know. But to be fair on him, he does work very, very hard, and he's very good with time management. I always imagine Sonny, there's like a pie graph, and every piece of pie, that's his day all mapped out, and there's not much pie going to waste.
And he's been very fortunate too. He's been surrounded with great musicians, and so it's been a great chance for him to grow. Playing with some of the best players in Nashville is what an opportunity for him. It's
for
incredible.
sure.
And me and you.
That's right. Yeah.
How does that You guys as parents, how did you see that inspire him to push himself more in his musicianship by, as you mentioned, being surrounded by great musicians and seeing it up close and personal? How did you guys see those light bulb moments and those gears start turning in his mind to really push himself to be the best he could be?
Well, I guess being in Nashville, you go out and you can see so many great musicians and great songwriters and just general, and the general vibe here is is positive, and it's, it doesn't matter about age. It's just about loving what you do and being around people that inspire. And he is, like, back in Australia, it wasn't near as inspiring. There wasn't the bunch of musicians there are here. Like it is in rural America. I guess it's no different. But Nashville's such a melting pot of great stuff. Like, he's hanging out with Alex Miller and Luke McQuarrie a lot, and they're young guys. It's good for him to hang, and it's great for him to get around those guys, and they're just the same. They're inspired. And
But you know what? He also has a great role model, because Stuie practices all the time, and he'll tell you he doesn't, but he does. He's the guy that will sit down and have breakfast with his guitar and have a cup of tea, and he's playing from first thing in the morning. And so that's what Sonny wakes up to, is seeing his dad practicing and working hard, always trying to be better.
I mean, I was a late bloomer coming to Nashville when I did. I've got to work really hard to keep up. Sonny's got a good head start.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm sure that you guys kind of push each other a little bit, because you mentioned the role model he sees in practicing, but he probably doesn't know that you're probably practicing to keep up with him from time to time, aren't you?
I sure am, and he can learn something a couple of listens and he's got it in his head. I got to listen to it 50 times before it starts to sink in. But that's good. I love playing, so anything I can learn is exciting. Like today, I got to play guitar down on Broadway at Robert's Western World, and the guy playing bass is Rory Hoffman today. Now, he's not a bass player. He's just one of the greatest musicians in the world on any instrument. Today, he just happened to be on bass, and here I am on guitar thinking, Rory Hoffman's my bass player. This guy, you should hear him. He's blind. Should hear him play the guitar. It's like George Benson, Yet he's just there playing the bass, and he's quite content, And I'm thinking, I said, Rory, if I play any wrong chords, let me know. He said, I'll let you know.
What is it about country style guitar playing that really kind of hooked you in at a young age to where that's something you wanted to pursue and become so passionate about and kind of make a career out of?
Well, when I was a kid, I used to hear a lot of Johnny Cash, Luther Perkins, Hank Snow, an Australian artist called Slim Dusty, they all had signature guitar players who were such a huge part of their sound. And then I got into Merle Haggard, and Roy Nichols was a huge part of his sound. And through Roy, I got to hear like Django Reinhardt and just all these great musicians that inspired those guys. And it's great to go back and listen to the guys that inspired them, which Sonny does. He goes back and listens to those. He doesn't just learn off, say, Brent Mason. He'll go back and listen to Roy Nichols and the guys that inspired Brent, Jerry Reed, So anyway, I just heard great musicians on records back home. Dad played. He used to sing and yodel a bit. And my brother played guitar, so I would sit around and make out I was Luther Perkins while my brother sang a Johnny Cash song, and I'd be there plonking away. And I formed a band with my brother when I was about 15, 16, my brother and another friend who played bass, and we played, looking back now, we did a lot of shows around Tasmania, just playing the music I love to play. I'm so fortunate that I got that situation. We went on a TV show down there called Tasmanian New Faces, and we did really well and got work out of that. We'd never played for money before, but it was. And then I was a mechanic by trade, so on weekends I'd go out and I'd play Friday and Saturday nights, and I'd make more doing that than I did working all week on the spanners.
And I'm sure you enjoyed picking the guitar a lot more than turning wrenches, didn't you?
Oh, I'd be under a John Deere tractor working away, dreaming about how would Roy Nichols have played that. Meanwhile, oil was running all over me.
Sure you weren't thinking, I wonder how Roy Nichols would work on this tractor. So
yeah.
How did you two meet? You guys, the patriarchs, this very talented country music family, patriarch and matriarch, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
How did you guys meet?
Well, I moved from New Zealand to Australia in 1999, and I started working a lot as a backing singer. So I don't know if you've heard of Casey Chambers, but she's one of our biggest
Runaway
artists.
Train, great song.
Yeah, yeah. So I toured with Casey for about 3 years, and Gina Jeffries, and then Troy Casadale asked me to go out on the road with him and be his backing singer. Well, Stuie was in fact Troy's guitar player and had been for a number of years, and so it was Stuie's last gig. I think you were
Yeah, I just
stopping with Troy, and anyway.
just finish it up, and you were starting.
Yeah, and I got hired. So we actually met at the airport. We knew about each other, but we didn't realize, I didn't realize he was single and same here. And anyway, we got talking at the airport, and we've actually been inseparable since that day. Like that was the beginning of it.
Yeah, so
Like,
thanks,
what year was
thanks,
that?
Troy. That was 2002.
Okay. He's
Wow.
a years guy. He knows dates and years much better than me. It's all a blur. 2002. Wow.
How marvelous that it was ordained that you guys' 10 years only overlapped by one day, not a year, one day, and that's all it took to kind of change the course of your guys' lives.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's so true.
that really
Yeah,
is.
and then we started working together, and we would do, as a duo. We were Camille and Stuie back in Australia, released many albums and toured together, and we'd get to open for a lot of the acts that we would work for. So yeah, in particular Becky Cole, she was someone that we both worked for, and we'd get to open the shows and yeah, and then be in her band. So yeah, what a life.
And we also had another band down there, a Western swing band called the Feral Swing Cats, which
Great name.
I started with a pedal steel player, and we had a few different front singers over the years. And then when I met Cam, well, she became the front singer, so it was perfect. Every gig I did, Cam was part of it. You know, couldn't get a better singer, so why, it's perfect.
As a musical duo, you guys released some great songs. Did you guys still perform today as the French Family Band? One of those that is probably a little bittersweet now that Sonny is about to graduate high school is Little Years. Why don't you tell us about that song?
Oh, I know. Well,
Well, I was writing that song the night our eldest son Chet was about to turn 4 the next day, and I just was feeling a bit sad, thinking, man, time's flying. He's already about to turn 4. He's because I could remember when I was 4. And I'm thinking he's already. And anyway, it was just one of those songs about that, really. And Cam helped me finish it off, and so. What does it talk about?
It's just how quickly they grow up, really, and to appreciate those little years. And
Yeah, well, like last time we played it at the Station Inn, I said this song's just come true tonight, because there's a line in there. He's 3 today, he's 4 tomorrow, 21 next week. Well, he just turned 21 the day before
yeah,
that we did that show.
he's 21 now, our big boy. So
Wow.
time's
Wow.
flying.
So my wife and I have our first, and she just turned 7 months old on Mother's Day, and it's crazy. Just I'm like, I can't comprehend how fast she's growing. So it just seems like she was just here, and she was in the NICU, and now she's like big, and I'm like, it's like every week. Like we were away last weekend for just one night, first time we'd spent kind of a night away, and we came back and it's like, I feel like she grew a foot in just a day. And so I've been thinking about that song a lot more over the last 7 months now on that Little Years, and really thanking God for the time that we have and for our little baby Daisy. So
Yeah, well, we've got a lot of songs like that, Dan. So you need to get our Big Days and Little Years album. It's full of all those family songs that make you
Just
tear up.
pull your heart out, especially during graduation week. So
Well,
Exactly.
we've just been writing some new songs, and it's
That's
the next stage of that when they're leaving home. One song is
Yeah,
going to
that's
college, and it's a little 3-part story song where Cam sings a part, Sonny sings a part of his perspective of it, and
It's all about Chet leaving us. He's gone off to college now, so we're a man down in our house and miss him terribly. But he's inspiring songs now.
or continuing to inspire songs, I guess you could say,
That's
right?
yeah, continuing, yeah.
The French Family Band's going to bring their beautiful blend of country music to Mechanicsburg, Ohio on May the 24th at Hemisphere Coffee Roasters. That's Sandusky Street. It's Route 4 in the village of Mechanicsburg. You guys have played country music at the roastery before, and it's a really unique listening environment, isn't it?
Yeah, we loved it. We had the best time.
We did, yeah. And we've got a couple of our favourite players too that we normally work with at the Ohio Valley Opry, the father and son duo. So that's kind of fun as well. Gary and Bryant Sigler, they're coming over to join us on drums and bass. So it's the dads and the sons and me.
It's the whole lineup. Yeah.
It'll be fun.
HemisphereCoffeeRoasters.com for tickets and more information. There'll be a food truck on site. Doors open at 5:30. Opening act at 6:30, followed by the French Family Band. And if having real country music wasn't a reason enough to get to Mechanicsburg, Ohio, free Hemisphere Coffee Roasters coffee included with your ticket. What more could folks ask for?
Wow.
Right, exactly.
I'm going. I'm going to get.
It'll be a great evening of coffee and country on May the 24th with the French Family Band at Hemisphere Coffee Roasters, HemisphereCoffeeRoasters.com. Camille and Stuie, thank you guys so much for joining us on Real Roots Radio.
Thank you.
Pleasure.
Thanks so much for having us.
Thanks, buddy.
Hi, thanks for watching. If you liked our video, be sure to give it a big thumbs up and hit subscribe so you'll be notified when we have new videos posting. Be sure to check out some of our other content as well. Thanks for watching.